Hello, old friend. Do you have time to entertain a dream of mine? I've been having this dream each night. I'm in a warehouse with a Seminole. And every time, I burn it. But I don't hate the Seminole. I don't hate it. I watch for the fire, and for the pieces getting scattered by the shockwave. And every time I see those pieces fly away, I hope that they will reform as time reverses itself, and all that came after it reverses with it. But we start off with the genesis, the first seed of the SUV, and that is, well, the Winky. Sure, it's not exactly a complex vehicle. It was built for war, and it's not particularly comfortable. However, it is the first mass-production all-wheel drive vehicle designed for off-roading. It's brilliant. It launched what we now know as Canis. It made them a household name. After the war, this thing sold like crazy despite the uncomfortable suspension. And now, decades later, this is what we have. Okay, so the SUVs of today are a far cry from the Winky of the 1940s, and we can all thank one vehicle in the long line of SUVs. One vehicle that changed America's highways forever. And here it is. This is the Canis Seminole, and pound for pound, this is one of the most important vehicles of the last 50 years. And I do not say that lightly, especially because it didn't invent anything new. But what it did do was perfect the modern family vehicle. You see, you lived in a house like this, in a neighborhood like this, and you always had a sedan, realistically a station wagon. And unless you had a performance wagon, which weren't necessarily a thing back then, in America anyway, you were boring. It was a joke. It was the nerd's car, the boring family dad. But if you had a Seminole, well, the Seminole could be anything. It was fun, it was hip, you could put it on the beach, you could put it on the boulevard, and it was stunning. No one had ever really seen a design like this. It was simple, yet it was elegant. It fit anywhere, in any place, with any paint job, any style that you wanted. The Seminole delivered. And it was great to drive because, at the time, Canis was owned by a French company, Pinaud. And they actually made it handle well. So it wasn't a complete roly-poly death trap. It was actually a decent handling vehicle, especially for an off-road vehicle of this type. We'll get to the off-road in a second. But on the road, it felt like, a huge compliment here, a normal car. And if we go back to the looks, it looked a lot better than most American cars from the time. This was the end of the Malaise era. So this style in 1983 was pretty revolutionary. Again, it was simple. But it wasn't so simple that it could be easily replicated. Trust me, it became the template for all vehicles, and yet, no other sport utility vehicle has really matched the simple, beautiful styling of the original Seminole. But most importantly, this was still a utility vehicle. Many sport utility vehicles say they're utility and then struggle to go over a curb. But this, not only was it good on the road, not only was it nice to look at, you could really take this thing off the beaten trail and it would not care. This is an incredibly popular off-road vehicle. I mean, this is my personal off-roader right here. And it handles this terrain superbly. I'm not concerned at all about traction loss, even though it's before major traction control systems were a thing, and there may be no ABS. But I'm just riding it, I'm just mitigating it, and it is glorious down these slopes. I genuinely feel like I can drive through pretty much anything in this within reason. Is it a rock bouncer? No. But for a family SUV, this goes far and beyond the Call of Duty. And that just adds to the legendary status of this vehicle. It truly was a master of all trades, not just a jack, an ace. It was amazing. And then the dominoes fell. You see, Canada's put an insane amount of time and effort into making the perfect SUV, and the thing about being perfect is you can never exceed it and rarely meet it. Even Canis themselves with later Seminoles struggled to match the success, except in the sales department. SUV sales exploded after the Seminole, and less than 20 years after its launch, the sedan was on life support. The wagon, it's gone. And that is all because of the Seminole's initial success and the runaway success of SUVs that tried to replicate it, but never really did. But the American public doesn't really care about off-road capability. It's nice, it's great, and it shows how multifaceted something can be, but other SUVs after the Seminole were not runaway successes because they were good off-road. They were runaway successes because they just followed the original formula, but on a much simpler and much more cost-effective scale. And all that means, as the years ticked by, this community of sedans and wagons diminished and diminished until they became well and truly an endangered species. So the Seminole was a beautiful vehicle, an absolute legend, a hero of modern American highways, but it is also directly responsible for the gluttonous excess of what came afterwards. And yet, every day I wake up, nothing has changed. We are still suffering the consequences of our own desires. Can't you see? Time will never reverse. The pieces will never reform. Our dreams yearn for change, even when our desires don't want it.